Hello everyone, welcome to Technical RPA. This session we are going to talk about RPA interview questions. So we have more than 50 questions. So we can talk and discuss most of the questions here in this session. Before going that, I want to thank you each and everyone. Technical RPA channel has around 450 videos for only RPA. Because of subscribers and users motivation, last year November we started with zero. Now we have more than 500 plus videos including .NET. Except other things, RPA has only 450 has. Thanks everyone, thanks for watching, continuously watching our videos. For subscribers everyone, this video we are planning to discuss and talk some more questions because I got a lot of emails. We have a lot of emails from several subscribers and users and viewers. uh, Previously I heard separate videos for each 5 minutes, 10 minutes or 20 minutes. The questions which were discussed is separation. So this is the only video we can add. We will cover most of the questions. So if you anyone going to interview, some of them asking I'm going to interview, can you tell me some questions, or else can you answer me some questions. So I had added all the questions in the session, and I will explain you the each and everything. Can you briefly tell me about yourself? In my organization, so how we are interviewing to people is, if we ask the question, can you briefly tell about yourself? So we are expecting the candidate at least has to explain 5 to 10 minutes. So I am David, I am working in ABC company. So I'm working in currently RPA project, which is the processor related to finance or else other domain. What is the domain? We are expecting the domain, and as well as the process, the tool, which automation tool you are working, maybe AA, BP or UiPath, Workfusion, Beggar Robotics, OpenSpan. So what is the tool you are working? What is the experience you have? So how many months you are worked for particular process? If you have fresher previously, so what is your expectation from this company? So everything we are expecting, tell about yourself. So at least we are expected to cover the candidate at least 5 to 10 minutes for the particular question. Your process explanation. So some people doesn't want to ask so many questions. For the only question, can you briefly tell about yourself? The only question, we can understand how the candidate will be, what is the capacity of the candidate. Candidate is original or duplicate. He is previously worked in company with RPA. Some candidates they mentioned I'm working in RPA, this process. But if you talk some and tell about yourself as well, they will understand if you are really worked or not. So that kind of things will be expressed in tell about yourself. So the second question is, how many years of experience you have in RPA? So in RPA, if you have experienced, tell your experienced how years and month and what you want done for that years. So there are a lot of things you can explain on it. If you go fresher, then probably that is not issue. How many project you have worked? So each and every project tool and has dependency. Suppose you are working in a process, that process has automation anywhere tool used, and what is the dependency you had, maybe SQL server or else SQLite or some other dependencies you have, source control, some persons worked in SVN, some other persons will worked and source control they will used in GitHub. So what is the level of project you worked? Maybe the project has complexity level or else medium or else your process has low. If it is low, the process has only only it's dependent with only small application as well as few controls. If it is medium, many controls and more than two applications approach or more than two websites it has been approaching. If it is complex, how many click, how many button click or how many text boxes entering. So we have more than 300 or 400 text boxes if you are enter, then probably that process has complex. So you have to mention your level of process and how you are go. So what is the documents you are used in your project? Maybe sometimes you have used in STD, TDD, PDD, that kind of. So some of the process they will use only STD and TDD. Solution design document they will give, and TDD with solution design document provided by solution architect, and technical architect will given the TDD. So that's all. They will work and they will start. But some process they will start with agile methodology. So once the STD is ready, they start with user story creation. So based on the complexity of the process, the user story maybe 5 or 10 or 7, the user story level has to be increased based on the process level, complexity level, and agile methodology they will follow, Scrum, Kanban board, and regular testing. So some process they follow. I have 4 days to work. So these 4 days I will complete some of the automation process of the particular area. So I will split my process into 4 weeks development and 2 weeks of testing. In the 2 weeks testing, I will follow up with each 4 days once. 4 days, Monday to Thursday I will work, and Friday I will hand over into testing team. The testing team will start their test in Friday, and end of the day they will give these are the bugs, these are the things you have to improve, they will give on it. And again Monday I will start with first day bug fix, and started with another development. So these type of levels we can work in RPA. And what do you know about RPA? So in this question, so you can know about how RPA, so what is the level of RPA now it is running on it, how RPA will move into cognitive and artificial intelligence. So what are all the tools they are moving like that? Suppose in automation anywhere they have IQ bots, so they are moving into taskbot, metabot, IQ bot, they are moving into the level. Now their bot insight. The bot insight will help you to understand each and every part of the auditing and reporting and dashboard tiles. So insights. So if you talk about Blue Prism, they are moving into the cognitive levels, next levels of version 6.3. So and UiPath, they will they will start with the deployment with cloud, and they are having integration with Kibana like tools. The Kibana tool will help us to move into the logging and tracing into the next level. So in RPA, AA and BP does not given the way to integrate logging and tracing into the separate environment. So logging and tracing is nothing that each and every error handling. If you go that errors which have happened inside the code stage, that it will be the separate framework, that is Kibana. So Kibana will help you. This is the error, it is happened. So this is the low level, this is the medium, this is the high level. It will help you to understand the level of errors and everything. That is the separate framework they were added with UI path. So this type of information you can tell what do you know about RPA. So next question, what type of automation you are doing in organization, or in other words, can you briefly explain me difference between attended automation versus unattended automation? So type of automation is nothing. In automation we have headless automation. The final goal in 95% of the automation's final goal is headless automation, which means the automation have without user interruption, without developer interruption, without uh, server administrator interruption. It will work in a separate manner, and the separate VDA or separate solution, it will be separate server. So that is the main purpose of headless automation. So how the headless automation will work, that is unattended. Nobody will touch that. If any error comes, then probably error handler will throw an error. Then probably it will send an email to control room admin. Then control room admin will check the error, and then he will fix on it. So that is completely different thing, that is unattended mode, that is headless automation. Attended automation is different. Attended automation, it will run in your desktop or in your VDA. If any error comes, some manual intervention has to be happened. So without any manual intervention, unattended will be run, but some of the manual intervention will be happen in attended. So what type of automation? In the automation, Citrix automation, that is one type of automation. Then VDA and or else your virtual desktop environment, that is type of automation. And BPO automation, that is that project or particular process only for BPO, or else business process automations. So this type of automation is the type of we are doing in. So in the level of moving now, finance, audit, auditing automation. So type of automation we are moving on it. So what's your current project, and explain it. See, actually the thing is, your current project you have to explain from base onwards, from the scratch onwards, which means your current project started with the analyze. So if you are the developer, and if you have in the project from the end to end, so in RPA each and every developer will be available from end to end level, which is it will start with scratch discovery phase. So you are in that, and assume you are in that from discovery phase, and you are up to the deployment. So this is your level of process. So when you start with scratch, that is discovery, then next phase is start the design, then build, then probably develop, test, probably move to deploy and go live. So these are the levels in your current project. So in that level, what is the challenges you faced? So you may faced in many challenges. So I had created more than 100 videos for the challenges, real-time issues. So you can see that videos, so you can know. So what are the challenges it will be, or else in your real time you can face lot of challenges. Excel automation, or else BBO automation, or else any VBO you are using, challenges. So many challenges you can face. You have to write through each and every challenges and explain on it. So without challenges you can't do or you can't achieve any final level goals. If you really done the project in RPA, you will get the lot of challenges in work in day and night. In our last project, we worked on day and night more than 15 hours a day, which we faced lot of challenges. I can't tell the challenges in within 5 minutes or 10 minutes. That will take more than 3 hours or 5 hours or 10 hours. That is the reason we had created several videos in separately. The next thing is, what are the automation tools did you work and how it different from one another? Now you will come into the picture. The automation, suppose you work in BP, think through that, but you never worked in automation anywhere or UiPath or else Workfusion. But you must know about some basics of other tools, because they are expecting, in currently organizations are expecting the developer must know some other tools, so they can easily recommend sorry, which tool will work perfectly for the particular scenario or particular process. If you doesn't know the tools in any other tools, if you are worked only one tool, if you are working only BP, if you know only BP, then probably you can't answer this question. So you can understand some of the basics of the other tools, then you can explain properly. If you have AA and BP and UiPath, then probably what you can do is AA is a scripting, and BP is a process designer, and UiPath is a process designer with a lot of recorders. In UiPath you have many recorders, web recorder, so kind of recorders will be available. You can easily achieve and record your logic as well as your code. But in BP you have no recorders. Instead of that, they have studio, process and object studio. In application modeler, they will achieve they will get the attributes. In AA they have different recorders. So this type of differentiation you must know. In BP you have stages, in AA they have command lines, in UiPath they have different actions. So it will help you to understand and explain this question better way. Did you have any programming experience? If you have any programming experience like C Sharp, VB, or else your JavaScript, or else Shell script, or else Python, whatever the skills you are any programming, you can easily, or else Magro will help you lot of automations. It will help you to move into the further for the particular question. So what is the STLC process followed in your project, and what is your contribution every stage of STLC? So STLC is nothing, software development life cycle, that is discovery, design, build, test, and deploy and go live. This type of STLC process will be followed. Each and every organization, they have the levels, they are using something different, but this is the STLC process, this is the stages. So what is the level, what is the contribution of every stage in STLC? Suppose you are contributing only the build stage. In your organization, they have separate release management team they will take care of the deployment. Then probably you can explain this is I have using only the build stage, I will develop, and the deployment will take care by some other team. Operation team will take care my deployment. So I'm only involving the development of the STLC process stage. Or else if you are starting from design from scratch as well, then probably discovery, what is your contribution. You are created developer understanding document, or else what is the document you created, that type of things you have to mention on it. Sorry, what are documents you used for created for your RPA process. So you can tell how many documents you created. Maybe see, usually in RPA, developer created only the understanding document, process understanding document, and probably they will start with development. And some of the process we started with agile user stories. We will create the user stories. In user stories as well, they have each and every point. Suppose if you want to create login, the login has to be start with user ID and password and clicking the particular submit button. So the explanation is more in user story creation as well. And sometimes the FRQ documents, if it is leads, they will create FRQ documents. And process design document, they will create it by process owner. The process owner who will know the process very well. If somebody knows the business very well, they will create the process. Or else organizations send their process engineers to them and to the client, and they will start to create the process design document, solution design document, and technical design document. And these type of documents normally used in the and deployment document. And once it is under testing, if it is in testing, they will create the test strategy documents. The test strategy, they will create test cases. RPA test strategy document will help you to create. If they want to, if it is medium process, they will create 30 to 40 test cases. The test cases will help. So in some process, developer as well, they will start to create the unit test cases. So UTC documents, unit test case document. In some process, SATC documents, which is system integration testing documents, or else SATC, system integration test cases, they will prepare documents. Once it is completed, the deployment document, the deployment guide and deployment runbook. So what is the purpose of this deployment guide and deployment runbook? That guide and runbook will help you. So you are creating one process, that process has using the tool BP, for example. So your development has completed. Now you are planning to move into operation team. They will take care, and they will deploy your process into the deployment server. In that case, they doesn't know your process, what is the dependency, what are the plugins you used, how many VPOs you used, or else what is the third party you had, and what is the URL of the third party, and how many applications involved in your process, what are the URLs of that process, and how many. So what is the plugins you used. Maybe your automation was used in Internet Explorer, or else Google Chrome, or else in private. What is the level of usage of it, and what is the zoom level, and what is the version of the application you are integrated with, what is the version of the Word, Excel, and SQL, and if it is in, suppose you are doing each and everything in your system, it's working fine. But if you move to production, so what are all the steps you followed from beginning as well? You have to mention in the deployment document, and as well run book. Run book especially help us. If you want, if you really want, I will create one more session that is only for run book and deployment guide walkthrough. That that run book will help us to execute each and every stage. Think through that. You are completing the automation, your BPA relays. So your BPA, if you want to copy the BPA relays into the another system, it will not directly work. So you have to do some configurations like system idle settings. So how much time the system has to idle, or else memory. So you have to use Windows Server, or Windows Server which version, or Blue Prism which version you have to install. So everything you have to mention on deployment document and runtime. And if any error comes, what is the, suppose you are thinking through that your automation BP automation.exe has been crashed. So how you can you can handle something in your development area, but if it is happened in production, how you want to solve that issue? So you have to mention what is the frequent level of issue and how you have solved that issue in your environment. That all you have to mention on it. Based on that only they has to take up, because after the development you can't continue with lifelong. So that support team and operation team, they will take care, and they will start their automation run. So you have to mention each and everything, and as well as from scratch. That is very important. How you will test your RPA automation task? See, actually, the testing previously in the automation anywhere, testing is there. So some people they can test through automation anywhere testing, but most of the automations they will start with manual testing, which means robo will run. So based on the test cases, tester will test on it. So they will start. There are three types of test levels. The first level is manual, or else running from client. So in their desktops they will run. They will see, that is unattended. Sorry, that is attended testing. Attended level of testing will start with the desktop. There they will move into new system. So once you completed your development, they will move your code into new system, which means they will only take your code from source repository, and they will download and they will start to test, and they will start to run. If any issue comes, they will they will tell that is the issue, this is the fix you have to do. But after some time, so you had fixed most of the things. Now they are moving into server level testing, which means they are running from unattended mode. They are running from control room or server or system manager. Simply they will schedule and execute your process. Unattended or headless automation testing. So first thing is attended testing, second thing is headless automation testing, the third one is test case execution testing. So if they write more than 50 test cases, all the test cases it has to pass for each and every level, for all the entire level of your process. So this is the testing level in automations. See here, how will manage the changes in the existing process. Suppose you are completed, so so now your TDD has updated, you have started your development and you have completed your development. So now you completed your development, it is the time to move into the testing, which means unit testing or system integration testing, whatever this is testing. Suppose your client has mentioned or client has changed their mind and they started with no, I want to have these type of changes. Previously you have 9 digit, now that particular text box must be allowed, or else first particular extraction you have to capture 10 digits. Previously you capture only 9 digit. No, now our process has been changed, our mind has been changed, we are in 10 digits. How you can change on it? The thing is, it will come up with the change request, CRQ. So once the change request comes, the change request come with to your process owner and the solution owner and your business owner. Everyone, they will start, they will discuss each and everything, and after that they will come up with TDD or if it is big change, they will come up with STD change and TDD change, and again come into the development. If it is small change, only the TDD only change. If it is big change, the STD change must be happen and STD approval has to be happen to the client. If it is a small change, then it will come in with TDD, and technical design document changes has to be done, and the technical design flow has to be changed. So each and everything has to be changed thoroughly. Then probably they will come up with developer, developer, this is the one you have to change. You have to clone the value, or else you are extract the particular value and you are change on it. So developer has to change, and test cases document, user test case document, that UTC has to be changed, and then only the development has completed and moved into the unit testing and as well as system integration testing for the existing changes, change request. So there is the particular team, there is change management, change and release management. They in most of the MNCs, they will take care their own in the changes. So how will you automate? How will you identify particular process is automatable or not? So this identify things are basically, it will take care by tech art team. So I will tell you some small example. You have one application. That application is not changing, which means I am talking about that application has version 1.6. Before it is automatable or not. So how often the client changing their version, which means now they are using 1.6, every 3 months it is moving into 1.7 version, 1.8 version, with lot of changes to the particular application, which has to be which they want to automate. Then probably that is different calculation, that will not work out. So any rule based, this is the rule, you have to extract this 9-digit value from the particular area. If the rule satisfied, it is automatable. Probably if the rule is not satisfied, if the rule is not committed, probably it is not automatable. So yeah, it is rule. Automation is all about the rule based. If rule is not satisfied, probably it is not automatable. That is a simple thing. So coming to other points, that is many things is coming to the picture, that particular area is automatable or not. if it is Java application, so based on the we can see it is the application of Java, so we can automatable, even though if it is created by old version or new version, that is not issue. If it is web, automatable. If it is Windows, if it is automatic. If it is Silverlight, if it is FTP, that FTP servers download, upload, that is automatable. So these are the things has to be automatable. But some things, some application servers, that is one of um, the servers, the frequently changing their IDs, that is HTML IDs or domex path IDs. If it is changing every time, frequent changes will happen to the particular application, then probably it is not automatable. So in this way we can define, so this is automatable, this is not automatable, this is rule based. So rule based we can automate. If it is not rule based, if user tell my this text box will happen anywhere in the particular application, maybe first time that will come up, and next time it will come in down, next time it will come into right corner, that is not supported any rule, that is not automatable as well. And OCR, if we come into the OCR, if which means the any images which is handwritten, that is not completely not automatable. If any images that is we can see some image saturation is good, and image which means image recognition is good, then probably we can automatable. If image recognition, if we see the image that is without reading you as well, how tool will read, or else how the appear OCR or else your tesseract OCR will read the particular image and give you a text. That image to text part will not be automatable if it is not readable. So that kind of things we can think on it. So how will you call it? Effort and estimation for process to automate. Effort and estimation for process to automate. FT calculation. See, usually the FT calculation will be happen in real time process. I have think through that you are going to give the particular automation for the audit purpose. So it will replace one of the accountant. If you completed the automation, it will give into the picture, or else it will after the deployment. If it completely replaced one employee, full-time employee, that will be probably very nice calculation of the 1 FTE calculate 1 FTE effort. One full-time employee will be completely removed through your automation. The probably the estimation is 1 FTE. If they removed, if it is only 80%, even though if you give the automation and if you deploy automation as well, somehow if any error happen, if it is something happen, probably some others has to watch, some others has to manually intervention, because think through that automation needs some file. Input file you have to place on it, output file you have to generate on it. So this type of conditions, or else email you have to watch each and every email. So in that kind of situation, you are completed, and even though you are replacing a full-time employee, it will not happen. So your estimation will be 0.8 or 0.9. If it is replaced 10 employees, probably it will 9 FTE savings. So this is the way the FTE savings are calculated on it. So what are all the deployment methods you are following in your process? When we talk about deployment methods, if you have .NET, you have Xcopy deployment and Xtam deployment and EXE, Windows EXE deployment, kind of deployments available. Here in automation, it's all about The deployment is if you are using some process, some clients they are using cloud, so we can use and we can deploy our process into the cloud methodology. And somehow smart card deployment is available. So what is smart card? Smart card is nothing. So in your system, some of the financial users like banking, high secure, think through that, some high RBS bank. So they are high security bankings. So they will not allow you directly. So even though their keyboard as well, system keyboard as well, smart card is available. You have to scrap the smart card into the system, then only system allow you to start entering your user ID and password and moving into the system. The same way, two ways authentication of the deployment is available. You have to scrap your smart card. Once it will allow you entering into the system. Once you are entering into the system, after that they have one more authentication that will allow you into the VDI. So you have two-way authentication. Once you completed, then you start your deployment methods. So you have smart card deployment is available, cloud deployment is available, and normal deployment methods, which means you are creating deployment documents and you are moving into your files, everything into the through SVN. So SVN source code deployments also available. The three types of deployments they will download from source code, and you will upload into the source code. They will download and manage deployment into through source codes. So it will be available. Some deployments, GitHub deployments. So each and everything, whatever you develop, your files, your folders related to the automation, you uploaded into the GitHub. GitHub is a source repository. It is an open source. That is Git repository. So we'll see how we can manage the Git repository in RPA, the branch, the main branches, master branches. So they have in Git repository they have master branch and develop branch. They have two branches. If you are moving only the dev to test and test to prod, that kind of things, you have to move into develop branch. And if you are moving to production, that is you have to move into master branch. So if any change comes, some master branch version has to create and you have to move on it. The client will take care the GitHub repository server, and they will take that code and they will deploy into the server. So this is one type of deployment. So smart card deployment, cloud based deployment, and GitHub source code deployment, and manual deployment as well. Explain about RPA source code management. So source code management is very, very, very important in any environment. Suppose RPA is very, very important. If you have any technologies, source code management is very, very important. If it is .NET, we have VSS, Visual Source Safe, TFS, Team Foundation Server, SVN, Subversion. So these type of source code are available. And if you come into the picture into the RPA, they have Subversion. It's available, and TFS, Team Foundation Server, also available. And if you want to use GitHub as a repository, Git, source tree is one of the repository. You can manage your source code files, and scripts, each and everything into the things. So if you follow your repository or your source code management, so why we are following source code management for our RPA related things. Suppose three developers are working in a particular area. Your your source codes are managing in SVN or Subversion or else your GitHub or source tree, whatever the source code management source code. So you are downloading the first file. Think about the test1.atmx. This is your file. You are downloading that file. So the same time test1.atmx file has been downloaded by other developers as well. So if you check in, if you upload after the changes has been completed, if you are committing into your source code, it will tell developer 2 has already downloaded. You guys can merge and probably upload into merged version. So how it will do is, it will tell a conflict. So probably you have to merge with another developer and probably you have to move into the source code. So in this case, source code repository is very important thing. Otherwise your development or else your source code management will be somewhat crumbled. So you have to use proper source code management in RPA development. In AA they are inbuilt, they will use with Subversion. Can you explain about code standards and folder structures that follow in your project? See, actually in coding, standard is very important. If you write the code, that standard is very important and the structure is important. If you really want, I will explain or else I will show you directly how the coding standard and folder structures will be available or will be needed in the real-time RPA environment in the separate session, because sometimes think through that if you are in automation anywhere or else any tool. So if automation anywhere, if it is 300 lines of code, if you write 1000 lines in a ATMX file, it will not under the coding standard. You can write minimum 250 lines in a ATMX file or else your task file. See, if it is more than that lines crossed, probably you can't give the full picture or else you can't give the entire picture into the in your next area, which means you are completed your development with 1000 lines in your file, in your task file. But if you moving to support team, they will doesn't know 1000 lines how it will we can manage on it. So that will be very critical path. So each and task file that you have to use 200 lines. If it is a blue prism, you have to use proper global timeout. So this is the timeout you have to use, or else you have to proper initialization, you have to proper start, you have to proper resume and recover stages, you have to proper arbitrary weights you have to use on it. So these kind of things you have to follow. How the folder, suppose you are creating a folder, the folder name must be your process name. Your process name is test, your folder name must be test. Inside that, inside the process folder, you have to mention your code files and as well as input files, output files and log files. Different folder you have to create. Input you have different folder, output you have different folder, log you have to create different folder, configuration files you have to create different folders. So this type of folder structure you have to follow on it. I will give you the one session for only for coding standards in RPA tools. How will you handle secure data such as password in your automation? See, usually we will handle secure data in credential vault, credential manager, whatever you want. So credentials are, So all the secure data, your SSN ID or user ID or password, whatever it will be taken over by credential vault or credential managers. How will you integrate third-party API and DLLs or code into your automation? Do you have any experience on integrating APIs or DLL? See, actually, application programming interface, that is completely different. And if you have DLLs, then probably you can integrate with um, in your application, it's in your automation tool. Suppose you have one .NET DLL, uh, which you want to concatenate some values, or else some changes has to be done through DLL, or else connection or command kind of things. You can easily integrate through if you are using automation anywhere, you can easily integrate through Metabot. If you are using Blue Prism, usually you can add import your DLL, your assembly, and you can write your own code into the code stage. Application programming interfaces are like services. So application program interface is a different concept. So without using click, suppose you have 10 type of clicks, suppose you have 10 buttons in your application. If you want to automate, so you want to automate on a particular process, the particular process has one application, that application has particular page 10 button click. So if you have application programming interfaces, this you don't need to go and click the particular 10 buttons. So what is the 10 buttons give the output, the APIs will give you the proper values, and API will give you the input and as well as outputs. It's like a services, that's more than like services. I will do the separate session for APIs only. In RPA, that separate APIs how work. So what are the APIs we can use in RPA, we can discuss on separate session. So what are the next question is, what are the challenges or difficulty faced while automation your project or applications? So I have several videos, challenges, difficulties in automation. So you can go through and check, you can go technical RPA playlist and probably go with each and every video. You can get lot of difficulties and challenges what we are faced. We have more than 100 articles and videos in for only challenges. So how to implement the risk and disaster management in your automation process? See, actually business, all the most of the MNCs, they will come up with business continuity plan, BCP, that is risk and disaster management. So usually we have cluster servers are available. One server is available in India and another server will be available in some other country, or some process will be available. One server will be available in Chennai, another server will be available in Delhi. If anything happen, risk, or suppose natural calamity, earthquake, anything happen, another server automatically take up, the cluster will be run the data and run the automation, everything will be worked out on it. So that is BCP team will take care risk and disaster management in our automation process. Okay guys, let's discuss another 50 questions in our next video. Thanks for watching this video.